Guru is globally renowned Vedic scholar Dr. David Frowley. As the founder and director of the American Institute of Vedic Studies, Dr. Frowley has been an ardent supporter of the revival of the power of Indian roots and has repeatedly stressed on the need for India to preserve its soft power to surge ahead. Dr. Frowley. Conversing with Sadhguru and Dr. Frowley is the Editor-in-Chief and Managing Director, Republic Network, Arnab Goswami.
You don't mind? Can I start with a 1-minute chant? Huh? Okay.
I just hope everyone is settled in the house. And if we can all take our seats before we start this, what is going to be an enlightening and wonderful conversation that we are all looking forward to so much. If we can just settle down in the house, please, I'll be most grateful, especially in the back rows. Thank you. First, Sadhguru and Dr. Frowley, I just want to say to both of you how honored we are to be in your presence this evening. We are deeply honored, and I think everyone in this august audience and the millions of people who will be following this on Republic TV, on the digital medium and all our streams have really been looking forward to this. So first of all, thank you for coming here, Sadhguru. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining him, Dr. Frowley. Thank you so much. Sadhguru would like to start with a chant, so it's over to you, sir. So you want to take?
Jananam sukadham Maranam karunam Milanam maduram Smaranam karunam Alavashadiha Sakalam karunam Samayadipate Akilam karunam. Namaskaram to everyone.
Sadhguru, thank you so much. And now we'll begin our conversation with your permission. Sadhguru, today I promise to
Will I also get to speak?
Yes. I haven't taken a vow of silence. Short of that, whatever you want, Sadhguru. The theme of this panel is often not addressed at events like this. The words Indian tradition, Indian culture, and Indian values have now become viral sensations globally. Our history and our inherited cultural legacy has been studied, it's been analyzed, philosophized, it's been revered, it's been the focus of wonder and curiosity, I can tell you, across the entire world. And so today, as I have Sadhguru, who needs no introduction, for how seamlessly he dissects these values, analyzes them and speaks about them. And Dr. Frowley, who has come to be the voice of popularizing the power of India's Vedic traditions, I want to just start by opening up some broad themes this afternoon. Firstly, as I was telling Sadhguru in the chamber before I came in, this channel and this institution, Sadhguru, that we have been proud to build, is proudly nationalistic. And I have said that for this country to be great, for this country to be the global power center, we must be powered by our soft power. We must have the ability to ensure that our soft power drives the surge, which we call here the theme of this conference, Surging India. I want to start by asking both of you, if there is something that is stopping India from taking that leap, what is it?
It's just that one thing is the Indian people have no sense of history. Albert Einstein went out to say, Indian people can't think beyond 15 minutes. Well, that's an extreme statement. I don't agree with that. But there is a sense of survival instinct in India for the last probably 500,000 years, that we want to forget what happened yesterday. We think that's our way to survive. Yes, it is, in a way. Though the country has been ravaged by invasions and occupations, we have managed to keep ourselves sane and happy and reasonably well because we have a way of forgetting what happened yesterday. But to surge, it's very important, we know what went wrong in the past. We have to know what went wrong in the past, not to remember and be bitter about it, but to make sure such things don't happen to us once again. If I have to take a recent history, well, one of the most serious aberrations that's happened to the nation is partition. You cut the nation into three pieces without understanding the geographical structure of the subcontinent, without understanding the population composition, the demographic composition of the day, and simply on somebody's fancy it happened, or maybe somebody's malice against us it happened. But we have a tendency to forget. Here we are in Mumbai, I don't know how many movies have been made about partition, how many books have been written about partition, how many children of this generation even know such an aberration happened where nearly 600 million people died, and still we continue to fight and both the nations bleed. And above all, for thousands of years, over 8,000–10,000 years, we've been trading through these routes, both eastern and western borders. We cut off both the arms of this nation and then we say, you're free. How is it supposed to surge or fly? So it's taken over 70 years now just to find our feet, cutting off our trade routes. If these two borders were open, we would have highways and railways and pipelines to Central Asia, Arabia, European countries and the Asian countries. Within 25 years, we would have been a developed nation. But we cut off those things and we have no sense of history that we have caused such a damage to the population. You and me are sitting here, okay, our stomachs are full, but even today, 60% of this country's population doesn't get to eat properly. If you know the pain of other people's suffering, then you cannot forget these things, because these are blunders that we have made and never again should it happen. But repeatedly you keep hearing people talking about these things, one more partition won't hurt us, let's do this, let's do that. So, lack of historical perspective is causing a big damage for India to surge ahead. It's very important that we don't commit the same mistakes once again, we don't even think about those things once again.
Sadhguru, thank you. Dr. Frawley.
Yes, I think it's this…
It's working.
Yes, it's this perennial doubt of Arjuna. India has this tremendous spirit, power, knowledge, tradition, but its own people doubt it. You doubt your own traditions. You don't manifest them, you don't share them, you don't give them their proper importance. And the mindset of India has been turned against itself by a lot of Marxist thinking, outside ideologies. And so there's that hesitation to surge. Everything is with you. And yet, if you don't have that personal effort to bring it forth, it may as well not be there. So that surge is starting, and I think it's going to be unstoppable now. But the confidence, the willpower, the motivation must be there, not just the resources. And that is what needs to come up more and more and more.
I think that's a beautiful introduction that you put on both sides. And there is a commonality between what both of you have said. Sadhguru speaks about the fact that we haven't learned the lessons of history, and therefore we don't have empathy with what we've been through, which links beautifully, Dr. Frowley, with what you say about the lack of confidence in our intrinsic values and who we are. Now I'm going to get into the terrain of provoking a response, because that is what I do for a living, Sadhguru. I have certain problems with the way nationalism is trampled upon by some people. And today we'll do some plain speaking on these subjects. I have a problem with how there is a hard selling of a narrative that Indian values are antiquated. And I want to get into and address those issues, because they must be addressed, in my view, for a surging India. So Sadhguru, as we talk about surging India and our values, tradition, our cultural legacy, is there a recent trend to present Indian values as dated, antiquated and regressive by certain interest groups? Democracy is for interest groups. There will be interest groups. But then Dr. Frowley wrote in September 2017, he said, why secularism in India has lost its meaning. And he wrote, and I want you to comment on it, that India's secularism has become synonymous with the idea that everything Hindu is bad and everything else is secular and good. Do you think there's been a one-sided telling of Indian tradition and values? Why has that happened? And Sadhguru, the world has taken note of our tradition and practice of yoga. But as the world geared up to mark the first International Day of Yoga in 2015, there were articles in certain sections of the media which says, minorities feel marginalized as India prepares for Yoga Day. What do you have to say about these kind of narratives? Should we ignore them or should we react?
Well, that's a loaded question, but the important thing we need to understand about India is we are an amoral nation. We have no morality. We have no values. We have no principles. Nobody gave us commandments. We've always been a land of seekers, where we are continuously seeking how to be appropriate to the situations in which we exist. In fact, we are a godless country. This is the only culture on the planet which told you, your life is your karma. This means your life is your making. The way you make it is the way it is. This is the only culture which told you that there isn't another better place. The most terrible idea that's been put into human mind is, there is another place which is better than this planet, and once you go there, everything is going to be great. That is not how our lives are made. Here, this is a search to enhance our life, how a human being can attain to his ultimate flowering within himself. This is what this culture has always been about. Our highest values have not been God and heaven, our highest values have been liberation and freedom and truth. Mukti, moksha have been our only goals. If we bring this back, I'm telling you, the nature of this culture is not of the past. People think it needs to be preserved, no. It is a natural consequence. The future, the world's future is in this kind of system, that people will naturally seek freedom as more and more people can think for themselves, as more and more people walk out of the books that they've been trapped in forever. You will see human beings will seek truth, human beings will seek freedom. This is essentially a movement. This is happening around the world. It may be still not fully articulated by people, but a movement from religion to responsibility is happening across the world. There's no question about it. So this is also a movement from getting the authority. Truth is the authority in your life. Authority is not the truth in your life. Till now, people have been spreading this, some authority has said this, so this is the truth. But in this culture, even when the so-called divine entities came, they could not give us commandments. All they got was questions from us. Shiva opened his mouth, his wife asked him 500,000 questions. Krishna, after much hesitation, not able to talk to his only very close friend, he tries to talk to him at the edge of a battlefield. That guy asks hundreds of questions. So this is the nature of this culture, where seeking is the highest value. There is no other value. We are not looking at what is right and wrong, because the moment you look at right and wrong, I am right and you're wrong, that's the only way it is. The moment I believe something is right and something is wrong, obviously I am right and you're wrong. We are only looking at what is appropriate for our existence here right now for both of us. This is the important dimension. This is a natural consequence of exploring human consciousness rather than sticking to values and principles and ideologies.
But Sadhguru, you're putting everything on a relative scale, but there is a right and a wrong and there is a black and a white, I believe, when it comes to our country, when it comes to our nation, when it comes to Bharat. And therefore, you talk about how there are three fundamental aspects in the making of a nation, Sadhguru. It's territory, systems and processes, it's people. You talk about turning India into a Bhavya Bharat. How do we achieve this surge? And I'm bringing you back to the subject. How do we achieve this surge if we are caught in the most banal of situations, where those within this country are constantly attacking, deriding and abusing the idea of India? How do we move forward historically and holistically when certain people, and I'll be blunt about it, are calling for a street war in the name of caste, when others are talking about breaking the country into 16 pieces? Do we ignore it? I ask you the question again. Do we ignore it or do we take it on? I want you to get into it, speak about it and then, please.
Instead of going right and wrong, there is a law in the nation. Nobody should be exempted from that, that's all. Everybody must follow the law of the land. And the sovereignty of the nation should never again be questioned once again. It's done once, we have made the mistake, that's about it. The sovereignty of the nation is not questioned, and everybody, doesn't matter who you are, everybody has to abide by the law. If you do these two things, rest of the nonsense will go on, rabble-rousers will be there, but they will all fall apart at some point. We don't have to really pay too much attention, because if you go with right and wrong, inevitably for every human being, I am right and you are wrong. If we go with that, the other person thinks he is right and I am wrong, and it's an endless fight. Let us go by the law. People, like I've sat through various village committees where people talk about justice. I said, no justice, just the law. It may be unjust. Law may be unjust many times, but we will go by the law, not justice, because justice means we will go this way and that way.
But law can always be interpreted, and some people will say, my freedom of expression allows me to interpret the law. I want to stretch the extent that democracy allows me.
Yes, that little plasticity is there for the law, but still within those limits, not beyond that.
Dr. Frowley.
Yes, there are a lot of negative narratives about India, its nationalism, its history, all these things. And these are embedded in the educational system, they're embedded in the media, they're embedded in the academia, and so they naturally affect the people. So these negative narratives have to be challenged, and I believe they are incorrect. I'm not saying there's no, they have no positive points or credit for what they're saying. So there has to be this deeper understanding of what the nation is. India is the least nationalistic, I would say, of any other countries in the world.
100%. It is so.
And
least nationalistic.
it's the most culturally, it survives on cultural unity.
Beautiful.
So this deeper nationalism has to be brought out. And India's nationalism is a nationalism of the earth, the soil, the people. It is not just a political concept like the Western world.
I think that's very beautifully expressed, which takes me to the point, Sadhguru. He says India is the least nationalistic, it should not be. Now there is a phrasing and a stereotyping of nationalism. There is an attempt to beat down nationalism, even before it is present. I proudly say that if you have to be a journalist, you must be a nationalist. That is seen by some people as a right-wing comment. But why is it that anyone who says I'm a nationalist or talks about nationalism is beaten back and says you can call yourself a patriot, but nationalism is a political philosophy. Since when has nationalism been a political philosophy? And in your view, Sadhguru, I want you to address it at length. Is there a fear of nationalism emerging as a philosophy? Because, you know, when you compare ourselves to other states, we have so many languages, so many traditions. I would say there should be a more coherent and visible nationalism in our country that we feel, that we experience, that evokes sentiment in us. What do you think about it?
See, in the making of a nation, the most important thing is the nation has to be built in the minds and hearts of people. This would have been easiest to do just after 1947. We should have done that in a strong way. Still, there are a whole lot of people living across the country who don't even know what is India. They are still identified with their community, with their caste, with their creed, with their village. If you know, there are villages where their identity with the village or their community is so strong, they will fight with the Indian army if you want, because they have no other identity. Nobody has told them, you actually belong to this large nation. It's only now with television access and other things, a little bit of it is coming. Otherwise, I'm telling you, I've traveled in the remotest parts of the country, a whole lot of people had just no idea because we did not make that effort to build nation in people's minds and hearts, because nation is not some God-given thing, it is an idea that all of us agree to. We all agree to one idea and we stick to it, because that's where our well-being is. That is the way to address the largest number of people in a given geography, is a nation. So nation does not mean that everything else is cut off, no. Today in this technological world, you cannot cut off everything. Nationality or nationalism does not mean some exclusivism. As David already said, our sense of nationalism, there was a time where politically we were anywhere between 200 to 600 states, but still we were Hindustan, still we were Bharat. So, people outside the country always thought we are one nation. So what is it that put us together? This is something we must look at. If you look at this, if you travel every 50-100 kilometers, you will see people look different, talk different, eat different, dress different, everything is different about us. Still for 10,000, 15,000 years, we've been referred to as a nation by others, and we have also felt we are a nation within ourselves. The only thing that's kept us together is we were not a land of believers as the rest of the world was, we were always a land of seekers. If we just bring back this one thing, which is a natural consequence of education and logical thinking process, that human beings will naturally become seekers if you release them from the tyranny of authorities that have been set up in the past, you will see India's nationalism will become world's nationalism because it is natural for anybody who thinks logically that they cannot accept illogical authority from somewhere else. This authority can be up or down or wherever else, but these things will fall apart. I was just in Bangalore 2 days ago, there were over 9,000 people in a program. I just just asked them, how many of you believe you will go to heaven? Only 5 people raised their hands. I thought, are you hell candidates?
Where was this, Sadhguru?
But in the previous generation, if you had asked this question, 80% of the people would have raised their hands. So, heavens are collapsing. When heavens collapse, a whole lot of authority collapses along with it, all the commandments will collapse with it. Now what is it that will guide human beings? It's only human consciousness. Human consciousness means it is not a bundle of values or ethics or morals, it is just that you delve deep into yourself to understand or to know the nature of your existence. The fundamental difference between the other creatures and us is our cerebral development is such, within the human brain, there is something called as the reptilian brain, which is always trying to build, little boundaries. You see the dogs peeing all over the street, not because they have urinary problem, simply because they think they're building a kingdom. So this pea kingdom is still happening among human beings also. So human beings will have to naturally evolve beyond this need to set boundaries. This is what this culture has always been about, that you have to grow beyond your boundaries. This is not about you establishing your boundaries, this is always about you breaking your boundaries. So nationalism as an idea is a very Western idea. For us, Our sense of nationalism, as David rightly put, it's a culture. What culture of what? Culture of seeking, culture of knowing, culture of truth, culture of liberation. And that's what we should stick to, because that is where the future of the world is.
Yes, but what we see is there's an effort to undermine this cultural unity of India.
In what ways?
Educationally, we know how the educational system
That's
goes.
the biggest culprit.
Yeah.
Please elaborate, please elaborate. You seem to have struck a chord with Sadhguru too on that.
Okay. Well, the textbooks don't give a positive image of India. And also, there's the battle today between the idea that India began in 1947 and the older Bharatiya idea. And there's a certain segment, particularly the intelligentsia, that wants to make India happen only after 1947. And to do that, you have to deny the older cultural unity of the country.
You're saying the people are trying to say that Bharat was some amorphous idea, it was not clear, and the idea of a modern nation state really was a giveaway of the British.
Yeah, absolutely, that there was no nation of India. Bharat, they don't even mention the term anymore. So India needs to reclaim its cultural unity, and by nationalism it means unity. It doesn't mean separation, us versus them. And India has that deep cultural unity. It is the most enduring civilization in the world, continuous throughout 5,000 years, where all the other cultures have come and gone.
That's the thought there, Sadhguru, and I think he struck a chord when he said that, because I think there is a sense of overriding guilt that comes in the minds of many people, or our education system makes us feel a sense of guilt when we associate nationalism with Bharat. With our combined cultural legacy, it's almost as if we are told it's only the political boundary of the country gifted to us, divided by the British, that is our sense of nationalism. I want you to respond to that in the context of how our generations are brought up.
So, yeah, as David was saying, education. Well, I think that is the most messed up aspect of India, is education. Because this education is not designed to build a nation. This education is designed to subvert a nation, subjugate a nation. So, when we got independence, it looks like we were too happy. We became free, both our arms were cut off, but we were very happy. We have no arms, but we are doing great. We were just happy that we are free. I think it took us almost 25–30 years to understand that without economic development, without business happening, without various other activities happening, there is really no nation, and freedom doesn't mean a damn thing. The euphoria of just becoming free, without any capabilities, without any power, because we didn't even negotiate. We did not even negotiate to have the necessary power to make a nation out of ourselves. And this also did not allow us to really rethink our education. What kind of education does India need? What kind of education does Bharat need? And we made rules and regulations which I think they were made by British, and we still follow the rules. It is so difficult in this country, I'm facing this all the time, that if you want to do something alternative in the education, when I spoke to the government, I told them, see, I will teach rubbish. The parents like it, the children like it. What's your problem? Huh? I'll teach total rubbish and charge them a bomb. But parents love it and the children love it. Why should the government be concerned about it? Unless you want to control our minds. You don't want to control your population's mind, you want to liberate your mind. You want your population's minds to be liberated, not controlled, if you want to be a free nation. So, but right now, the education that was designed by Her Majesty's service is too controlling. It's all about controlling us.
This is, so if you think about it, it's all making a lot of sense. We are all conditioned to think in a certain way. We are told to…
Look at the language we are speaking
But we speak it better than the British. Believe me, I believe in that, Sadhguru. Believe me. You know, you should go to the United Kingdom and you'd realize we speak much better English than the British.
It's only me and David who are looking Indian, except the ladies. Huh?
Yeah, no, but the point is this, that, you know, I get a sense, I'm not trying to launch some conspiracy theory, but the best way to control a country that is the size of a continent is to control the minds of the people. And then you become conditioned to it. And then you begin to regurgitate what you've learned. You learn what the French and the British and the American philosophers and the Greeks wrote, but you never actually fundamentally give your point of view on it.
I think it's more than a conspiracy, it's just apathy. We've just been lazy on these things because any reform means we have to really, rub our brains out. You just continue with whatever is given to you, it's easy. I think it's more apathy than really conspiracy.
No, I think people were conditioned, Sadhguru. I think there is, you see, our history is written in a certain way. It is written to suit a certain political interest. It is written to undermine a certain narrative. People, who were revolutionaries were called terrorists in the textbooks of this country. This was taught, a certain narrative was put, and we were always told, if you look at our education examination system, Sadhguru and David Frawley, we were only told to regurgitate what the others thought. And I'll tell you a personal story. When I went to study social anthropology in the UK for the first time, I was once asked by my tutor when I first met him, can you tell me the views of Louis Dumont? Now, Louis Dumont is a well-known social anthropologist from France. I said, of course, I'm from Delhi University. I can tell you which page number do you want of his book, Homo Hierarchicus. I have ratified the whole book. I've memorized it. But then my tutor told me, Sadhguru, that no. I want to know what you think. And I said, me? Think? I don't think. You know, I simply regurgitate. So I actually think this is a conspiracy. It's not that our minds are not formed. Our minds have been formed to be unquestioning.
I went to school
not
only.
Be inquisitorial.
I went to school only when it was a must, so I was saved.
No, but Sadhguru, you get the point of what I'm saying.
Yes, definitely.
Is there a conspiracy or was there one?
I think a certain level of apathy, and some people also used it to their advantage very much. I would say there's a conspiracy more in recent times than from 1947 to, let's say, 1970, it's apathy. From 1985 to somewhere till now is more conspiratory.
Dr. Frawley?
Oh, definitely. What we see is that the mindset and the inspiration of the Indian independence movement, the great thinkers there, were basically forgotten after India's independence. And another group of thinkers came in who were rooted in the West, Fabian socialists, who didn't have an understanding of India, who didn't know Sanskrit, who didn't chant mantras, who felt yoga was bad. So that created a certain intellectual elite that was alienated from the culture, and it served to alienate the rest of the population from it. And that group is still in power in the echelon of ideas, and people tend to look up to them rather than going back to the true great thinkers and listening to the great thinkers today.
As he said, unless you were UK educated, you're not really educated. Well, that was set from the very beginning.
Sadhguru, look at the trend. When there is a verdict demanding that people stand up for the national anthem in theatres, it is criticized. When there is a circular to celebrate independence, it is criticized. When there are people who say, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, they are condemned. When there is a patriotic rock concert, it is mocked. When there is an attempt to instill patriotism by installing a decommissioned Kargil tank in the JNU campus, it is blocked. I want you to comment on this trend as openly as you can, because a lot of people want to hear your free views on this.
Oh, in the theatre, they're not able to stand up because they have popcorn in one hand and Coca-Cola in the other hand. How do you expect them to stand up? Come on. Be kind to them. They cannot stand up. So they've been arguing with me, why in a theatre we must stand up? Then I asked them, when was the last time you went for a Republic Day parade and stood up? When was the last time you went for a flag hoisting on an Independence Day and you stood up? Unless they forced you to do it in the school, you never did it. Even on that day you acted sick and didn't go to school. I'm saying this is the condition. So, certain symbols of a nation, if all of us do not agree how to respect… I had a big argument with the students of certain university. So they are saying, no, we have our own way to express. Then I tell them, okay, all of you tell me, which other way will we respect the national flag? Let's all lie down. Let's not stand up. You tell me, let's all lie down. Is it okay? No, we'll do it in our own way. That means we won't do it. I'm saying if you don't like standing up, if you think standing up is fascist, okay, let's lie down. When national anthem happens, let's all lie down. No, that's not it. So essentially, certain groups, they unfortunately call themselves communist, but I don't think so. They're not communist, because communism is about the well-being of everybody. Essentially, as I have understood communism, I've read Marx when I was 12, 13 years of age, and this is about everybody's well-being. Communism is an ideal situation in the world. Unfortunately, human beings are not mature enough to make it a success, so we have gone into market economy, it's fine. But essentially, like let us say our yoga center is communist, not by principle but by practice. Everybody is same and everybody by their needs, not by their greed or whatever. But these people who claim to be communist, unfortunately, somehow their allegiance… I'm just amazed as I converse with so many of them, I'm somehow amazed why their allegiance is outside the country. It's just unbelievable. You live in this country, you eat in this country, you're protected and served by this nation, but somehow you seem to belong elsewhere. This is a kind of malice which has grown, which I think needs to be handled in whichever way it needs to be handled. But this is not a question of, setting up groups in the nation and setting off a warlike situation. No, education and information is needed. Young people need to understand that you must know the pain of the child which is going to bed today without eating a full stomach. You must know the pain of that woman who has a baby in her belly but she doesn't have the food to nourish that child. You must think of that farmer who doesn't have enough nourishment to go to his field and do his work today. You must know the pain of this. If you know this, then all this rubbish you will drop and see how a nation can move forward. Because this is not about my ideology versus your ideology. As a nation, we are a world by ourselves. 1.3 billion people is not a small number of people. We are a world by ourselves. Should we move ahead or should we be tangled up in this who is right and who is wrong?
I think that's… I think it's wonderful, Sadhguru, to hear from you, that you read Marx, and I think you express it beautifully. There is absolutely… I think every philosophy is there and every ideal, and I think what's wonderful about you is that you have so much openness to all ideologies, points of view and perspectives, because that's what adds to the diversity. It's the misuse of it by some that you point out there. Dr. Frowley, I want you to expound on the same subject.
Yes. Well, we have to understand that these different ideologies also have their samskaras, their connections, and they… outside of India, outside of Bharat's dharmic traditions, most of these traditions have certain fundamental flaws. Communism is a wonderful idea, but it's rooted in a materialistic view of the world in which the spiritual dimension is neglected or denied. And when the spiritual dimension is neglected or denied, the political dimension becomes fanatical. And it can often go to extremes of violence, extremes of control, as that political ideology wants to enforce itself upon the world. So what the Indian tradition offers is that deeper understanding of the consciousness beyond the mind, beyond the limitations of the human being and the human thoughts, that we have to be rooted in something transcendent or universal, starting with nature, but also rooted in the land and the people. And the culture of Bharat has had that ability to be connected to the transcendent. India has a transcendent unity as a nation, not just simply a political unity. And that transcendent unity is very difficult for other countries to understand. And other groups would like to undermine it because that would then allow other political, social forces to rule.
Sadhguru, now let's look ahead. First of all, on a personal note, I see that especially in the last, I would say, decade, and even more so in the last 5 years, not chronologically perfect, but you've been traveling, talking, speaking, connecting on an incredible basis. You've used the digital medium, you've connected with youth. You seem to be on a roll and a drive. You want to spread your message very quickly. Question connected to you at two levels, Sadhguru, more at a personal level and then at a broader theme that we are talking about. What is your purpose now in the way you are connecting globally and in India? You seem to be wanting to connect with as many people in as short a time as possible. What are you seeking to achieve? A. B. In the context of surging India, Sadhguru, what do you visualize for our country? What do you see our future? We can bring it down to economic terms and discuss what will happen, not happen. What do you foresee, Sadhguru? What do you prophesize for this country? We say very often, and I feel very happy when someone says, our greatness is greater than China's and our rise will be greater than China's, as it is said, because it rests on the power of 1 billion people. Is that a cliche? What do you foresee for us as a nation?
Well, why am I running around like my tail is on fire? Is because, see, this is the first time in the history of humanity, this is the first time when our survival process is so well organized. I just want you to look back and see, 100 years ago, if you had to get your morning, let's say a bucket of water, you had to walk a mile and carry a bucket of water. Today, most people are not fit to carry a bucket of water for a mile. So if you have a little bit of money, you can buy everything that you need for 1 month and stay in your house and your survival is taken care of. Never before human survival was so well organized. All the time we've been struggling with survival. Survival is well organized, and for the first time, we can communicate to the whole world. Many great beings have come in the past. Let's say Krishna came, when he spoke, 25 people could not hear. A Buddha came as a gentle being, if he spoke probably 10 people could not hear properly. Today we can sit here and talk to the entire world. If we do not change the consciousness of the human creature in this generation, that means we are not interested. So this is the moment, because this is the first time survival is well organized and our ability to communicate is like never before. If we cannot raise human consciousness now, we can never do it. What is the significance of raising human consciousness? See, it's like this. When it comes to what is mine and yours, this is my body, that's your body, this is my mind, that's your mind, we may agree on a few things, disagree on some things. But what consciousness means is a dimension within us which is not determined by the boundaries of our memory. Our body is a boundary of memory, our mind is a boundary of memory. But our consciousness is a dimension of intelligence which is not marked by the boundaries of memory. Unless people touch this dimension, you can talk about unity, you can talk about togetherness as much as you want as principles and values, but never will it work unless human beings experience that sense of unity. This is what the word yoga means. The word yoga literally means union. This means, right now for most human beings, their experience of life is such, it is me versus the universe. It's a stupid competition to get into. Me versus the universe. No wonder always they're anxious, fearful, struggling, simply because it is an individual versus the universal. Yoga means to consciously obliterate the boundaries of your individuality. If you don't do this, you will never come to ease in your life. Forget about well-being, forget about blissfulness, forget about ecstatic states, you will not even come to total ease. I will I can take a, I don't want to throw a challenge at you, but it is really something everybody has to check out. How many people can sit in one place with absolute ease, without any sense of any kind of stress upon them, simply by themselves, not with anybody else, just by themselves? I'm telling you, over 95% of the people cannot sit in ease in any given place, because it's always this little boundary of an individual and the universal. So raising of consciousness this means that human being comes to ease. Only when you come to ease, you are not in a fighting mode. This fighting mode has to go. Survival for the fittest is over. Now survival is available for all of us. This is the time to put down your fighting mode and see how to do something else. And now we have wonderful things coming that everybody fears. That also I've been invited to all kinds of conferences and people, academics coming and asking me, Sadhguru, this artificial intelligence is coming, what will we do? We will lose our jobs. I said, isn't it great, we'll all be on a vacation. See, the same thing, when the machines came, I know that these things happened. When the cranes came to lift things out of the ships and stuff, all the porters' unions protested. If the machines lift the cargo, what are we going to do? We want to carry it. So now the academics are talking the same language. If the machines do all the academic work, all the information-based work, what are we going to do? This is the same labor class now, new labor. So, this is a time when physical work and intellectual work, everything that is memory-based, data-based, is going to be done by a machine. This is the best time to raise human consciousness. And we have a window of 15 to 30 years, in my opinion, because right now, as I said earlier, because people are thinking logically, heavens are collapsing in their minds. It only existed in their minds, now it's collapsing. Because heavens are collapsing, people are tending to move towards all kinds of things, particularly chemical use. If you want to be healthful, there is a chemical. If you want to be peaceful, there is a chemical. If you want to be joyful, there is a chemical. If you want to be blissful, there is a chemical. If you want to be ecstatic, of course, there is ecstasy. So, people are moving towards chemicals. Just leave the rest of the world. In India alone, in the last 25 years, the consumption of alcohol has gone up at least 10,000%. Yes or no? It has. So, this is not a moral issue for me. What I'm saying is, once 90% of humanity goes on chemicals to keep their well-being, after that you can't talk to them. And the next generation that you produce will be less than yourself. If we make this happen, that the next generation we produce is less than us, this is a crime against humanity as far as I'm concerned, because the next generation has to be at least one step ahead of us, otherwise we have fundamentally failed as a generation. So this is our time on the planet. We have the highest level of comfort and convenience that any generation has ever known. Are we also going to be the greatest generation ever? This is the question before all of us. And we have the necessary means and technologies and capabilities to make this happen. The question is only, do we have the courage and commitment to walk this distance? That's what I'm trying to invigorate the world to.
That's beautiful. So, you didn't answer the second question. What do you foresee for the country?
See, right now, the country is sitting on a threshold of great possibilities. But we must always remember, we have this tendency to celebrate the possibility itself. There is a distance between a possibility and a reality. Unless we have the courage and commitment to walk the distance, realities will not happen, only we will hallucinate about the possibilities. And we are definitely sitting on the right track. We are 100% sitting on the right track. But even if you're sitting on the right track and if you sit there for too long, you will be run over. that's for sure. So right now what is needed for this country is a strong, determined leadership, not right and wrong business. We need a very strong, determined leadership on all levels of life. Our idea of leadership is only Prime Minister, Chief Minister, not like this. We need leaders at every level of life. Every level of every strata of society needs leaders. See, there was a time when people believed that the military successes or the political success of a nation was the success of a nation. It is not so anymore, it's never been so, but these misunderstandings were there. It is the success of the commercial forces or the businesses which will determine the success of this nation, and we have to empower that in a big way. Every law we make to take a step forward, there's a whole lot of pressure to take at least half a backward step. I cannot believe a common taxation is being even questioned and struggled with.
Oh, well said.
I cannot even believe this.
Well said. You missed the first session. The Prime Minister actually said he's putting 99% of items under 18% of GST. We were talking exactly about that. Exactly about that.
Somebody was telling me…
You'd be a very effective politician if you were to be one, Sadhguru.
Somebody was telling me, but Sadhguru, it is hurting the small businesses. Yes, it is hurting the small businesses. When you try to change the foundation stones of this building, certain pieces of the ceiling will fall on our head inevitably, and the smallest people will get hurt more. But if we don't make these changes, India will always be a small business, it'll never become a big business.
Yeah. Sadhguru, I have one more question that I want to put three questions from the audience. If any of you would like to put some questions in to Sadhguru, we can.
I take it. I don't know if he's offering you a chance.
Take your question. I have one follow-up before I throw the mic around, and this is really beautiful because you are dealing with this side, and then we have the finance minister who's going to be walking in. He's in the house. He knows you are here. I hope you attend this session as well. So we have the spiritual and the material, right, and the finance parts and governance all together under one roof. I want one comment from you. When we were sitting in the other room, you said, and Dr. Frowley, please feel free to comment on it. You said that Arnab, when there is, what is the point of, you said you need political and economic power to push your soft power. Equally, it should be said that when you're aspiring for political and economic power, you should be pushing your soft power more aggressively. Sadhguru and Dr. Frowley, we take your responses on that, then a couple of questions from the House, right? And then the finance minister will walk in.
Yes. India's cultural influence, its soft power, has spread globally with almost no government support.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's lost some credibility within its own borders.
Yeah.
So obviously, it will do much better if it has support.
Yeah.
But that support also requires, as you see, economic and political support.
Yes.
And I also want to go back to one of the themes he's raising. He talked about how India needs that consciousness to deal with this generational change and the challenges of today.
True.
The entire world needs that.
Yep.
And of course, Sadhguru knows that and has been sharing that. India has the science and technology of consciousness that is necessary to handle the challenges of the information technology that are getting people caught up in drugs, and even, as we say, the digital drug, and losing their motivation. Because that's consciousness that's necessary to apply the technology in the right way, and also, as we say, to awaken Bharat.
Absolutely, Dr. Sadhguru, and then the mic.
The one basic thing that I'm striving to change in the world, and particularly in India, is a whole lot of people think spirituality is a certain disability. So if you say, I'm spiritual, the first thing that they ask is, what are the things you cannot do? So I'm doing a lot of circus in my life, doing a variety of things that they wouldn't expect me to do, just to show them that if you're spiritual, it is an empowerment, it's not a disability. If it is not an empowerment, why should you even why should you even give it to anybody? You should only give it to your enemies. So, one fundamental thing is that, and above all, if This is a big commentary going on with certain section of media in the country, and they've been after me continuously for 25 years, non-stop campaign. There is nothing that they have not accused me of, from stealing kidneys to killing elephants to just about everything. I'm disturbing tigers which are about 200 kilometers away from me simply because I speak. Because I speak and we play some music, tigers which are 200 kilometers away are not able to sleep in the night. They should be prowling, I don't know why they're sleeping in the night. Even if tigers are becoming lazy in the country, it's a big issue. Why I'm saying this is, the continuous campaign is, why is a spiritual organization growing? Why do they do things efficiently? This is what they're asking me. You must be in the jungle. Once it happened, I'm in Chennai and somebody was driving the car and that guy was pim, he was going like this. And I have a reputation in the last 37 years, I have not been late to a single appointment or event in my life. Doesn't matter in which part of the world I am. So, this takes a lot of conscientious effort to constantly be on time. So I tell the driver to get off and I drive myself. And as you know, since the Mumbai attack, every hotel, they will stop you and they'll put the barrier gate and then they will open the bonnet and the dicky and they don't know what they're looking for. Maybe he's searching whether the car is an engine or not, I don't know. But I'm sure looking at his face, he has no clue what he's looking for. So, I come and the barrier opens for a car in front of me, I also shoot through. And I go park there and leave the car there and run into the conference on time. When I come out, one journalist asked me, "You drive your own car, how can you be a yogi?" I said, "Is that so? If somebody drives for me, will I become a yogi?" He said, "No, in ancient times, all yogis used to walk." I said, "You idiot, in ancient times, everybody was walking, huh?"
Well, you could have said that, given the traffic, you have to be a yogi to drive.
So why I'm saying this is, this idea, if you are spiritual, you must be incompetent. You must not do anything right. This has to go. It must be… This is a land where kings and most successful economic leaders were always spiritual in this country. We have to bring this back, that spiritual process is an empowerment which brings success and well-being, not something that drives you into one corner.
I completely reciprocate that sentiment. 2 questions in the house, please? No, 1 minute. 1 minute, haven't you seen my show? I'm the only one in charge here.
Good evening,
I'll take 2 questions. Okay, Dr. Frawley wants to respond to that. After that, please.
What Sadhguru mentioned, Sri Aurobindo had said that a yogi can do anything better than a non-yogi because the yogi does it with awareness. And I think Sadhguru is demonstrating that.
2 questions, please. And first to the gentleman in the second row here. One second. To the gentleman in the second row. Wait for the mic, sir. Just wait for the mic. Can the mic be brought in to the gentleman in the second row? I'll just take 2-3 quick questions because Finance Minister is also just coming in after this. I know with Sadhguru in the house, everyone has many questions, but…
Sadhguru, how to get politicians to attend a 1 week's residential course with you? 1 week's residential course with you. If you do it in Coimbatore, they'll not come, And if Arunab organizes in Bombay, they'll never come. They don't love Arunab.
Anywhere in the world, I'll do the program.
No, but how to get politicians, sir, to come to you?
That's what I said. If you enroll them, wherever in the world you ask me to come to Siberia, I will come and do it.
Sir, that's a problem, how to enroll them.
Thank you.
Well, I must tell you that many governments in the country, state governments, full state governments, chief ministers, the whole cabinet and the bureaucrats, all of them have done the programs together.
Thank you.
And it has made a big difference for them.
Thank you. Okay, one more question. Prasoon wants to ask one minute. We go to the second row here, please. The gentleman here, second row. I'm trying to just move it around. Yeah, please.
Sadhguru, we are in a generation where we see the capitalist world and everybody moving towards the West. We want to have more and more money. And even we come from the spirituality of the India, where, as you said, that we have to go in our inner consciousness. How do we get this balance and carry this to our children so that we grow into a good nation?
See, the era of capitalism is over, literally. We called something a capitalist world when only, let's say in India, hardly 150 families had access to capital. Half of them were in Mumbai, I think. In the world also it was like that, but that time is over. Today we have moved into what is called as market economy, where market decides what happens. If you have a good idea and you can execute it, everybody has access to capital one way or the other. That possibility has come. With this, we should not think in terms of capitalism. That was an exclusive club of capitalists.
Yeah.
Those things are over now.
Yeah.
So what is the driving motive behind this? Well, if you look at it on the surface, well, greed is the motive. Greed is the only thing that keeps it going. That's one way to look at it. This is why consciousness is important. See, every activity that we do, I'm talking about a simple activity. Let's say somebody is driving a taxi. It is just that he is not conscious how significant an activity he is performing. If you ever sat in a taxi, you don't think in terms of, does this guy knows to drive, he doesn't know to drive, you don't think this. You put your life in his hands and sit there. If he just has this awareness, what a big service I'm doing to this person, taking him from point A to point B. Like this, every activity, every human being has a contribution to make in the world. It is just that people are not conscious of it, they think they're doing it just for money. So the consciousness has to move from this about just earning a living to making a life out of the activity that we make. Everywhere I go, people are talking about what about life and work and life balance. I said, if your work is not your life, please don't do it. Your work is life and life is work, isn't it? Why is it different?
I will have to close here because we have Finance Minister in the house. You know, with Sadhguru here, first of all, on behalf of all of us here, to Sadhguru and to Dr. David Frowley, let's give them a big round of applause. Very honored to have